Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim B'chak Kadash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim, to Sadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Okay, I'm the priest Shaman. This week's topic is going to be entitled Crypto Ledger and the Mark of the Beast. Crypto ledgers and Mark of the Beast, right? So this whole crypto thing is catching wave, right? You have not only the United States, but you have many different nations buying up crypto, specifically right now, XRP. Why is that? Because you have something called the Coin 222, which is a digital ledger, and it's supposed to be using Ripple exchange as an exchange of a means of transactions. So that's been bought up. Bitcoin, of course. And where did crypto come from? You know, they say that it was formed by some anonymous person and shit like that. I personally believe that cryptocurrency was created by the government, okay, to conduct nefarious activities, right? Because you could do things and it not be traced back to you. Prime example, Joe Biden laundering money through Ukraine, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, right? And they do a lot of those transactions, all right, with cryptocurrency because it's harder to trace where it goes back to. So that's, you know, but you could look up something called a digital ledger wallet, all right? So in the whole crypto space, you have hot wallets and you have cold wallets, right? So the hot wallet is like an app or some sort of online service that you store your password keys to get access to your crypto, where in a cold wallet is supposed to be offline, right? So which it doesn't actually store your crypto, it stores your passwords. And somebody showed it, he shared it in the chat, one of these chats I'm in, one of these invest chats I'm in. It was like a little thing like this, and it had all these, like a couple of his different cryptocurrencies on it. And I said, look, the goal is to have a micro-sized version of that implanted in your hand and forehead, right? Because I've been saying through the spirit, and this, I'm not just saying this now, I've been saying this back in 2020, that you don't necessarily have to collapse the dollar to introduce the Rfid microchip. Nor necessarily do you need a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, okay, to do transactions with this mark of the beast. Now, a lot of this stuff is just the advancement of technology, and I've also said to the spirit that to further prophecy, you have to further technology. Now, this is the book of Daniel chapter 12 verse 4, and it reads, it says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Right, so all these different advancements in technology, okay, when you see somebody put like a coin wallet, because think about it, like this is crazy, where you have an actual wallet where you store cash is limited. How much? What's the most you could put in a leather wallet? Maybe like a couple thousand. You could have millions of dollars in this small little wallet that has the passcodes to a large amount supply of cash, right? And it's only going to get smaller if they don't already have it, which they do already have the RFID microchip. But it's, you know, that's how technology goes. Things only get smaller. You're able to jam more information in small things. Now, even though Donald Trump is saying he's going to go very pro crypto, and we saw that with the new guy that he appointed in the SEC chair, very pro crypto guy. Jerome Powell has also said, and Donald Trump has also said, that they're not in favor of CDBC, central bank digital currencies like China, because central bank digital currencies will get a lot of backlash because it gets every single transaction of the American people will go back to the government. Every single thing you do will be tracked with a CBDC, and so that will be pushback. But again, that could change with a black swan event. And also, you know, this man speaks with a double tongue, so that a black swan event could change that on an instant. Now, going back to this whole thing with the crypto ledger and the fall of the dollar to introduce, this is what I said back in 2020. I said, just like they collapsed the tokens, remember how tokens used to be used as a form of money to get on a train, but now you don't see it anymore, all right? They didn't collapse the dollar to do that. They just got rid of tokens and started using Metro cards. Then eventually the Metro cards got collapsed and they started using the Omni system. So the US dollar itself didn't have to necessarily fall for it to be for us to transition into the next payment system. And that's what the RFID microchip is. It's a payment system. It's not so much a currency. And the thing with the dollar is extremely powerful. I can't stress that enough. The dollar is extremely powerful, accounting for over 50% of the world's reserves. So it's not the petrodollar. You know, people be like, oh, the dollar is tied to oil, and the dollar doesn't need oil. It's not the petrodollar, it's the everything dollar. Everything in this world is traded in dollars because of the liquidity. So it's already the world currency. You don't need a one world currency. We already have a one world currency. It's the US dollar. So they could, you know, cyber attack or whatever to say, look, biometrics is needed to prove your association to this particular ledger, and boom, introduce a chip that way. But what I'm saying is, a CBDC or a collapsed dollar is not necessarily needed, all right, for them to do a digital ledger situation where transactions are done with the RFID microchip. Now, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads. Right, and that word for mark, karaks, all right, is a pail or a scissor. So it's a physical thing. Just like how that dude had that physical digital ledger that had all the keys and access to all his different cryptocurrency once it's plugged in online. The same thing with the chip. Is going to be a physical thing. Okay, it's a physical thing. All right, and once that chip is turned off, all right, guess what? You won't be able to do any particular trades. All right, and that's the mark of the beast. This is where things are leading to, man. All right, this is where things are leading to. And like I said, it's not this whole Ripple thing being bought up. It's also being bought up by different nations, right? Because these different nations that has sanctions upon them, all right, they want a different payment system. What's the point of having dollars if I can't use it? You know, like I try to simplify it. If you have Cash App, what's the point of having a bunch of dollars if you can't use your Cash App to do any sorts of trades or anything? Zelle, PayPal. That's the equivalent of what's happening with these nations when they use the SWIFT payment system. Okay, it cripples them. You know, when they form BRICS is not a new currency. There's no way you're going to come in with a new currency and overtake the dollar. That's just not happening, because that takes decades to do. All right, and the dollar is backed by the strongest economy in the world by far. All right, the United States is ahead by trillions. All right, and the most powerful military in the world. So U.S. Treasuries is a very secure thing. U.S. dollars provide high liquidity. So these BRICS nations, they're not trying to deviate from the dollar. Okay, they want to use dollars. Okay, what they want is an alternative payment system. Okay, that's what BRICS is about, an alternative payment system to circumvent these sanctions, specifically when nations have to use SWIFT payment systems. All right, from which does from bank A to bank B, and then the clearinghouse is also a United States clearinghouse. Okay, that's how come nations are doing things like Enbridge. Now, do nations do bilateral trades? Yeah, you might have Japan and South Korea trading their own currencies, or what Vladimir Putin is trying to push is to have, you know, these BRICS nations do bilateral trades in their own currency. But again, the dollar is where it's at, man. The dollar is the most powerful currency. It's just provides the most liquidity, and like I said, it's backed by the most powerful country, the most powerful military, and it's a secured form of trade. You know, you want liquidity in an emergency. You want to be able to pull all your assets out quickly. That's how come dollar's pretty much not going anywhere. If that collapses, the whole world collapses. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much. So they could find ways to ease us into the next payment system, which is that RFID microchip payment system, which is the end goal. Okay, this is where things are leading to. It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right, so you're not going to be able to communicate, and you're not going to be able to do any sort of transactions, all right, without that digital ledger locked to your RFID microchip. Okay, this is the next major payment system. RFID technology Just like how you have NFC on your phone, it's going to be RFID done via the microchip implanted in your hand or forehead. And that's what the scriptures is telling us. Okay? And people have become more accustomed to convenience. And the RFID microchip will be something that is extremely convenient to most people. Alright? It's convenient, but shit, it ain't expedient. You know? Because the moment you take that, pursuant to the book of Revelations 14, 9, and 10, you're slated for destruction. You're going to get hit with the missiles. You're not going to make it if you have that in you. You're not a member of the elect if you have that in you. You can't take it in you and remove it, none of that shit, okay? Once you put that in you and conform to this system, then you have bent the knee to Baal, and the only step for you left is the missiles, okay? Verse 18, it says, here is wisdom. Did I read? Also read the part about, yeah, rich and poor. I read that originally. Okay, so everybody's gonna have it. That kind of proves too it's gonna be mandated too, you know, because rich and poor, meaning a beggar on the street. All right, to the very high in society. So it's gonna be some sort of situation where you have to give up your liberty for security. That's why I come through the spirit. Speaking as a man, I can see a cyber attack or some sort of global event similar to the C-19, when all these different world governments, okay, are gonna have to capitulate. All right. And fall in line and get with the chip, because you might have smaller nations that might not be with it. Well, guess what? If you're not with it, your economy is going to tank. All right. Eventually, all of them are going to capitulate. Just like a lot of people capitulated to getting that stabby stab because they wanted to keep their jobs. A lot of these nations, if they want to keep their economy running and keep functioning, even if they buck up, and you will have a lot of people bucking up. Okay. Guess what? Well, you're just going to have to starve yourself out, because trades are not going to be done. All these sorts of different things are not going to be done unless you submit to that. Specifically here, it's going to start here specifically in America, and then again adopted throughout the world. 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. Right, so 666. This goes back to the UPC barcode. And this beast system is run by Edom, specifically Amalek, so-called Jews. They're in everything. They're in everything, man. They have crypto. They have crypto Jews. They're in everything. They disguise themselves amongst these other nations and their world leaders. All right, all circle back to the show that the brother in Holland did. Okay, he went into the Saudi royal family being crypto Jews, which is something I was looking into, and then when I was looking into it, I stumbled across a brother's video in Holland. Like, yeah, you know, the House of Saud, they're crypto Jews, and what they do is, this is what the so-called Jew does. They go in a nation, they adopt their customs, and start changing their names, and that's it. So Mohammed bin Salman, the House of Saud, before it was called Saudi Arabia, was Arabia. The House of Saud, the family of Saud, their lineage go back to crypto Jews. Same thing with the Li family, okay, which is in China. So a lot of these prominent families that have the appearance of other nations that could influence geopolitics on a large scale, guess what? They're small hats, and that's what the small hats have done. They've infiltrated Hollywood, the media, the different world governments. They got America lock, stock, and barrel to the form of lobbyists, which is AIPAC, or even their Central Intelligence Agency through honey traps, honey pots. Okay, the Mossad used that on the United States' own intelligence. The head of the current incumbent of the CIA, I forgot his name, but he was on the Epstein list. So the CIA director, I wish I could remember his name, the current CIA director, he has ties to Epstein. So they done trapped a lot of, and that's how you run and rig the government. You don't pay every single people off, because there's going to be too many points of failure when you do that. You just get a couple key players that could influence everybody else, and that's how you keep things secrets. You know what I'm saying? You might just infiltrate a room of 10, okay, that could control a room of 10,000, and that's how they do things, through subterfuge, through deception. All right, this is the nature of this serpent, so-called white man. All right. So riches have changed. You know, when you read Genesis 3 and 2, it says, and Abraham was very rich in cattle and silver and in gold, tangible money, okay, which you can't easily manipulate. You can't fluctuate the price. Guess what? That's now changed with the so-called white man using paper currency, now digital currency, now ultimately crypto ledgers, okay, which you could even do more nefarious things in it. And like I said, through the spirit, all right, this is the next big payment system coming. You can YouTube them, you know, YouTube crypto ledgers, you know, look them up, and you can see how, you know, they're trying to push that to be the next big payment system, ultimately a micro version that is implanted in the body to do transactions. That's where things are headed, according to the scriptures. Thus saith the Most High, which is exciting times for us, because all we need is just for that thing to be mandated, and then all these wars that have been staged throughout the world, okay, really cold wars now. A lot of these wars that are being waged throughout the world are really to occupy specific areas, you know, and bleed other countries out of their finances. This is how, like I said, this is how new warfare is. It's very subterfuge. It's not very overt. It's covert, right? Because like people laying sieges on a nation's economy, you might just put a war there and destabilize the region. Now you have to fund your military, and the United States could just bleed you out because they have the most money in the world. They could just bleed you out while you're spending all this money on this military. They could just fund moderate rebels or any sort of people they want to rouse up to create a coup. Fund them, all right, to bleed out your resources, and that's, you know, that's tying up your money. So that's not gonna go on forever, man. That's not gonna go on forever. This thing is gonna get to a point where it's gonna escalate to nuclear war, and that's inevitable. That's what we're waiting on, all right. And Lord willing, it will come very soon. 2025. Very exciting year to come, man. What a time to be alive, as they say. Gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushua, Ba'Hashem Rachak Kodash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopefully elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.